this last panel session, we'll be discussing and talking to the people that invest in you and are going to invest in your business or your startup. So we have amazing people, not just locally here, but from other parts of the world. Some people with the experience from startups in Silicon Valley and co. To start with, I will invite Chika Nwobi. Chika Nwobi is the founder of L5 Lab and the first investor in Jobberman. A round of applause for him, please. So, to join us on stage, I'll be inviting Kola Aina. Kola Aina is the CEO and founder of Ventures Platform, an acceleration platform from Abuja, now in Lagos. A round of applause for him, please. I have Martin Karanja. Hope I'm right with the name. Where's Martins? Please, we can settle later. So Martin is the senior market engagement manager from GSMA. Have you heard of Mobile World Congress before? Yes, they are the organizer, and prep class was a part of the program where they got $322,000 last year. He will be telling us about that and how you can actually benefit from that as well. A round of applause for him. Please, I need Simeon, please. Simeon Ononobi. So Simeon is the founder and co-founder of Simple Pay and Thank You. A round of applause for him, please. I know my panel is, I'm having a lot more than I can chew. So there's a seat here. They need to get it for us and rearrange this. So I have Ashley Louise. She's the investment officer from Accion Ventures Lab from Silicon Valley, but they are currently in West Africa now. A round of applause for her. So while they are setting up, I think we should get into this. So I'll start with Chika. You invested in one of the most successful startups in Nigeria at the early stage when the founders were in school. So how did you discover them at that young stage? The startup itself and the founders. So Jobberman, I was talking about Jobberman.
Yeah. So I invested in Jobberman, I believe, in 2009, I think, or 2010, January 2010. I had just left my company, MTech, where I was the MD, and I was wanting to start Level 5 Lab with the objective of replicating my own experience as a young founder. I was 22-year-old, 1 year out of school when I started MTech, and some people had invested in me. And over the years, after much struggle, I'd given them a good return on investment. So I felt that I could probably have been in a good position to replicate that and help other people. And I was particularly interested in, internet was just coming, and I was looking for an area that the internet, I was looking for a low-hanging fruit, something that the internet makes drastically easier. And of course, jobs, if you remember before, by that time, people used to do Tuesday Guardian. So I was looking for jobs, because I thought, this would be like a easy business to make successful. So I was just searched online for different job sites, and Jobberman just had a different look. It looked wonderful, but there was a bug in it. So I emailed them to say, hey, there's a bug here. Can I, know who is behind it? And that was it. They responded. They were still in school. Turned out that DJ Adeomi had been trying to reach me for something else before, so I had that history. I didn't know it was them. So that's how I found them. And when I met them, the fact that it was like 3 guys, one, I don't know, I'm sure many people know them, like, it was just like a perfect team in the sense that Lekon is like a hustler, like getting things done. He can go anywhere and he can sit down and grunt and do the work. Okwe is the guy who was responsible for that design, so he understood design and he understood technology and he understood product, smart guy, entrepreneurial. And Deji, Deji has mouth, he has packaging. So everything was it was very, very attractive. Yeah.
Okay, so that will take us to the next question for Kola. Kola, your platform, you guys you used to invest $20,000. Currently, you announced that you're investing $40,000. What are you seeing that the other funders are not seeing or other investors are not seeing? What's so exciting about this that we're missing out?
Thank you for the question. I think, when we started, we announced a $20,000 flat check for the accelerator. But our experience over the years, sort of shown that, one, we wanted to be a bit more specific about the stage of company that would like to accept into our program. And at that stage, we realized that the companies typically need a bit more runway. As you all know, raising money can be extremely distracting. And so when you write a check for a company and they're trying to gain traction and they're nearing the end of money, they suddenly get distracted, and the focus now becomes how do we raise that next round. So this is essentially about giving founders and companies more time to grow and worry less about cash in the bank. And secondly, again, it's an indirect way of sort of defining the stage of company that we're looking to invest in. So it's companies that have built an MVP, have some level of traction, and are ready to move up to the next level.
So thank you. That would lead me to Ashley. I checked your portfolio, the startups you guys have invested in, and we have only one Nigerian startup there. Is there a reason why you guys are not investing in more? What are you guys scared of?
Sure, so let me explain a little bit more about what Accion Venture Lab is. So you might be familiar with the name Accion because we own Accion Microfinance Bank here in Nigeria. We're actually an international organization with a footprint in over 40 countries. And so 5 years ago, we launched Accion Venture Lab, which is our seed stage investment vehicle focused on fintech for financial inclusion. And that can be anything from consumer and SME finance. It can also mean insurtech. It can mean alternative data utilization for credit scoring, and so on and so forth. So in that 5-year period, we did 33 investments in 23 different markets. And we did our first investment here in Nigeria last year in 2017 in the SME finance company Lydia. So it's actually a little bit different from what you've mentioned. We've explored a number of markets, and we're really excited about West Africa. So excited that I've actually moved here, and I'm now based here. And we're running a number of initiatives to not only support the ecosystem, but to make sure that we can invest in organizations here. So I'm really excited to do more deals. I lead our investment work across West Africa and also in South Africa.
Okay, so with my job, I've had the opportunity to chat with a lot of people from the US, from every other market, and they always talk about the excitement. Is it just an excitement, or should we be expecting any news soon of an investment?
Yeah. Well, when you say, should we be expecting more investment, I mean, we're already deploying capital here. So, and if we look at our investment team, our entire investment team is based in Washington, D.C., with the exception of myself, who's based here in Nigeria. So I think that further reinforces not only our commitment to the country, but the fact that we're providing people on the ground to source and identify the best companies in fintech.
Thank you. I think I will seize that opportunity to say we would love to have that as exclusive when you invest. So let me go to Simeon. Do you think there is actually bad investor or bad investment?
Yeah, I think that's a trap question, because I might have some of my investors looking at me right now. So,
of course, there are bad investors as much as there are, bad startups. So there are bad investors as much as there are bad startups. I've been on both spectrum of the whole space. So I've been where I've got an investment over $1 million, and you're expected to work like a slave, And I've been where, you have very good investors that understand you have to do certain things and you have to iterate and change a product to get to that level. So yes, if I'm supposed to answer the questions directly, there are bad investors and there are, good investors. And for me, the kind of investors I go for today, or that I would love to be, because the idea for me is, it's not just to make money, it's also to find a way to plow that kind of money back, because the politicians and the guys that have the money in quote in Nigeria or in Africa are not looking at us to invest in us. So it's better to stop complaining about it and start doing something about it. I have realized that $10,000 can go a long way. So if you have $10,000 and you can invest in a small startup and pat them on the back to try and help them grow, it makes more sense. Because waiting for one money back. I mean, they say Nigerians are the richest. When you go to Forbes list, you are excited because you have top 10 Africans richest men list. You see Nigeria about 4 or 5 of them. But you expect that same thing should happen in the space where you have crazy Nigerians that are dogged at doing what they need to do, but you don't get the same feedback. So you now have to figure out people like Chika and Kola and guys that have, try to earn some small money and try and plow that money back. So and we need to do a lot more of that. Because if you're waiting for these guys to come from anywhere, to come and invest in us, or to get the, in quotes, government guys to come and invest, they don't understand what we're doing. They don't even have a clue as to what hustle is to try and get problems solved. So to get good investors, you need to get investors that not just bring money on the table, but can also knock on doors, open doors, push down the things that you need to do. So today I can walk into a MedPlus, for instance, and have a meeting with the CEO of MedPlus because of where I've been to and the kind of investors that are backing me. But there are some investors that just put money on the table and they just want to come back 1 month after to ask you, so how many X have you grown? Like, seriously, it doesn't work that way. So you have to know the kind of investors you're choosing, investors that can actually help you grow the business. And those are the kind of investors that Africa needs, Nigeria needs in person.
So from what you said, I picked one thing, that the local investors are the devil. So are the foreign investors, are they all angels?
Okay, so if I get the question, you're asking if the local investors are better than the foreign investors. Okay, so I wouldn't say the local investors are better or the foreign investors are better. It's like saying, Igbos are better than Yorubas, Christians are better than Muslims. You can't pick one out of a box and say, there are foreign investors that are wonderful. I mean, they would help you knock on doors. I personally have one investor today that had a meeting with me like a week ago. And I was amazed at the kind of things he was asking me. Like, do you want to get into MTN? Do you want to see the CEO of MTN? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want to speak to this person? That's the kind of investor I want to see. He's not asking me how many X or how many Y have you reached. He's asking me exactly what I need to hear. So there are foreign investors that understand that even with their white skin, the truth, with the white skin, a lot of people open the doors for them. So going back to that, I would say yes. investors can be good, can be bad, no matter the color of their skin, no matter where they're coming from. Local investors, some local investors have invested in me that asked me, so if I put 1 million naira today, does it mean that in 2 months I'll get 2 million naira back? You know, I've seen all sorts when it comes to investment. So, and I know a lot of people go through the same thing. So investors are not color-coded or anything. A good investor is a good investor, a bad investor is a bad investor. You just have to open your eyes, shine your eye where, and choose the best.
Thank you. So, Martin, you guys, you recently, Prep Class won your innovation challenge recently, $322,000. So what is the definition of innovation startups in your own time?
All right, thank you. Maybe just to give a snippet of what GSMA is all about. We are an industry association of mobile service providers. So most of these mobile service providers are actually our members. So within GSMA, we have a department called Mobile for Development that looks at the impact that mobile technology can have on the greater society. So we, and particularly for the program I work for, it's called Ecosystem Accelerator, where we look for startups that have a mobile-centric innovation, and innovation that is commercially sustainable. So you've launched a product, you've taken it to market, you have a couple of customers, paying customers, who are leveraging your product or using your product or service, and you have to be post-revenue startup. So for the idea stage startup, unfortunately, they're a bit early for us. So we look for something that has been a bit validated, but still at the early stage, and we help them scale that innovation. And as part of what we do is helping, because we realize the power of mobile and the power of mobile operators. So we help these startups to get partnerships with mobile operators to help them scale the innovation to the next level. And as you rightfully said, last year we ran our first round of the Innovation Fund. We had a couple of startups who applied from Nigeria. One exciting thing is from all our applications, we realized that we always get 100+ applications from Nigeria, and of course Kenya. That tells you something. There's something good going on in this ecosystem. But how do you separate noise from actual innovation that is scaling? And from the round one, we were able to select Prep Class, who run an EdTech platform, and we give they were able to get about $320,000 to scale the innovation, which includes developing digital content that can be accessed by the different customers, which creates value for mobile operators to partner with them in the context of using this digital content. For mobile operators, they're able to drive up their data consumption and data revenues in line. And maybe just to add, we did our second round again early, or rather mid last year. We were able to get about 150 applications from Nigeria, which is very commendable. And we're in the process of finalizing the paperwork and make the formal announcement of who is selected in Nigeria. I can see them in the room. Unfortunately, we can't say their name until we do the paperwork. But it's commendable that we're seeing a lot of innovation coming in from Nigeria. Okay. Yeah, just to mention, it's a grant. Our investment is in form of grant, so equity free between 100,000 and 250,000 pounds.
Okay, thank you. My next question is for Chika and Kola. Stepping out of here, a lot of startups will be dragging your garments just to speak with you and to chat with you. What are the qualities of investable startups? What are the qualities that you look for in an investable startup before you drop your money?
What qualities am I looking for in a company that we invest in? Team. I think people talk about this a lot, team. By the way, did you say that the person that won is here? But you're putting people under tension. Yeah, no. So we want a good team. 2 people, 3 people that have what it takes to do what they say they want to do. I think that's very important, that second part, about having what it takes to do what they say they want to do. Because many times we talk about, the team, and then we talk about the opportunity, and we say, is the opportunity big enough? Is it $100 million, is it $1 billion market? Are they trying to build $100 million company? Those are the things that in the past, investors usually say, I usually say. And I used to also sort of consider those two things separately. But now I'm more careful around, thinking of them together. Not all good, guy and girl or whatever, they might be good, but they may not be able to deliver on, if they don't have experience selling and they've not demonstrated that they can sell B2B, that's enterprise, they may not be able to deliver on a business that is a B2B business, even if it's $1 billion opportunity. So I think sufficiency of the team for an opportunity that is big enough, I think is important. Another thing more recently that I've started looking out for is cash efficiency of investment. Because I've generally been very early stage. In the past, it's always been my money that I've been investing. And if you invest your own money in a very good idea, in a very good team, but it is a business that the nature of the business requires a lot of capital, then now I'm more mindful of the fact that there isn't a lot of capital. And the chances that a good team in a good opportunity in Nigeria will be able to raise a lot of capital is very slim. And so I'm more interested in businesses that if I invest the small capital that I have and the people really execute, that money can start coming out from there at once, or soon, at least, that they don't have to die if more capital doesn't come. So that's something I'm a bit more mindful of now. And even now with Rise, where we're able to invest a little bit more than my own small money, but it's still not that much, right? Like with Rise, we would invest like $500,000 to $3 million, which is a lot, which can be a lot, depending on what business it is. Jobaman, Iroko, Cheki, a lot of these businesses got to market dominance with amounts of that size.
Okay, so Kola, over to you.
So I'll just piggyback from where Chika left it off. I think we're also very keen on capital efficiency, because as you spend time in this market, you realize that there's not a whole lot of capital flowing around, right? So you really, we're keen on companies that can be early revenue, or where the founders have a very clear idea of how they will monetize and how they will grow monetization. In terms of stage, we're MVP stage, so you have to have built something. I meet a lot of people that want investment but haven't really done anything. I get really excited about guys that talk about doing it offline right now, and they're ready to use some technology to enable it. And so we'll give feedback and ask you to go build the first version and get a few people using it, even if you're not making revenue yet, but you have users that have actually engaged with the product. So we'd like to see some early traction. We're very big on the teams as well, and I have a few questions that I generally ask myself when I meet founding teams. So first thing I ask myself is, would I work for this founder? And that's a function of the level of the clarity the founder has about the market they like to address, the vision they have for the future of the business, and their understanding of who their competitors are. If you can't, for me personally, if we can't engage around that, then it sort of reduces the level of confidence in the founding team. When we started, we weren't so convinced about the relevance of of a full, especially if it's a technology-enabled startup. We weren't so convinced that the teams needed to have a technical co-founder in the team. But we think that's really important for several reasons, and so that's something we look at as well. And again, just really trying to figure out why the team is doing what they're doing. Is there a real connection to the problem, Or is this just a copycat startup? Are the founders just doing this because they think it's cool and someone else is doing it? So one question that I like to ask is, why are you building this business? And if you weren't doing this, what else would you be doing? Again, I think, it sounds like beating a dead horse or dog, but the quality of the founding teams is super important. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So Ashley, what are your plans for African markets? I know you guys are here for a reason. What are you guys looking at? Because a lot of people would drag your garment as well there. So what are you looking at? So
Absolutely. So as I mentioned,
I'll
talk a little bit about historical. I talked about the fact that we have 33 portfolio organizations. Actually, 7 of those are in Africa, so South Africa, East Africa, and now we have our Nigerian investment. So it's about 20% of our portfolio. If I look at our pipeline right now of deals that we're actually closing in Q1, that's actually going to grow about 40% as far as our African exposure. So we're definitely allocating more funding. If I talk about themes, investment themes that we're really excited about, I'm seeing a lot of insurtech, microinsurance, and alternative ways of connecting hardware to software to deliver better, more affordable insurance products, which we think is really exciting. We're also looking at the cross-connection between other sectors in finance, so whether it's agri-finance, education finance, and we think that there's a lot of interesting work to be done here in the agriculture space and insurance, specifically. And then I know specifically here in Nigeria, there's a lot around payments, and so we've been exploring some options in payments. We haven't made a move there yet. There's a big question for us between infrastructure-focused investments and more consumer-focused investments. And so I think because we have so much exposure to the microfinance industry through a lot of our other activities, we're probably going to move away from infrastructure-based models, which leaves a lot of other opportunities for us to invest.
Okay, thank you. Kola, over to you. What is the one thing you've learned from investing in more than 20 startups? One thing that now guides your investment plan?
Well, I've learned several things, but the one thing that comes to mind is get ready to write the second check. There's always going to be need for more money to, especially if you're investing as early as we invest. And I guess, we sort of came into the space with an assumption that if we found great companies and if they grew, they would easily get the next round of investment. But that doesn't turn out to be very true. There's a lot of talk in the ecosystem, but not enough actual activity. And so I think the market is at a really early stage. There's work that has to be done in terms of improving the quality of startups and founders, and I think that's why I get really excited about all the types of education type activities like events like this, because as we continue to shore up the level of deal flow in the market, we also continue to improve the levels of investment participation, especially locally, right? Especially locally. I think we would start to see improvement in the ecosystem. I also think that our ecosystem is overdue for some exit activity, as signal for more capital to come in at a higher velocity. So we have our fingers crossed that hopefully, Chika, what do you think? 2 years, 3 years maybe? First IPO, first M&A. What do you think?
Are you counting InterSwitch?
Well, I guess we'll take that one as well. Yeah. Okay. But I think we need some big wins very soon, so that all this hot air doesn't get deflated.
Okay, thank you. So, Chika, you took a bet on the Jobberman. Are you planning to take a bet on some other small startup or student startups from schools now? Are you looking out to take another bet?
No.
Why, please?
Because Kola is there now.
left us with the hard work. Huh?
No, I think it's something I think about, right? And I'm clear now that we sort of need a, what do you call it, conveyor belt, right? Kola is saying that, I was saying that the guys that I invested in are not always able to raise additional capital. He's experiencing the same thing. Sisters experiencing the same thing. So I thought, like, it's better, I probably need to, having seen that maybe I have some track record and have some relationships, I said, well, I should partner with people so we can try and raise larger capital for that next stage. So I can't play everywhere. So, I mean, never say never, right? Like, if I met Okwedeji and Lekon again today, I'll invest again. I'll break the rule, break my rule, and do that. But it's not in the plan. I want to be really focused on support. I already have in portfolio more than 20 startups, and because there's not a lot of capital, because there's not a lot of capital, you need to provide some support, which I'm really struggling. You know, when you talk about good investor, bad investor, I thought about it like, to some of the portfolio companies, I'm a good investor, and to some of them, I'm a bad investor because I'm not really providing them the support for a variety of reasons. I think that's something to think about, the fit, not just the story that, oh, this guy's a good guy or this guy's a bad guy, but maybe is there some special interest, some reason why this guy will support me more than the other. So I'm mindful of that, and I can't spread myself any more thinly. We have level 5 lab that, we own and operate businesses within, so we're already quite thinly spread and can't take any more early stage businesses.
Okay, thank you. So speaking on that, I still want you to speak on that. I met someone that told me how you were dragging the Joboman guys out around then, that you came to her office, you were telling her, and she was looking, oh, okay, these guys, I don't know this, but you really believed in them. Do you think there are things beyond money that the investors should do? And this market, there are a lot of things we are saying now. For example, there are some guys, Honeywell Group is partnering with an investment company and they're doing grant with Etana. And I think those are some good moves because these people understand the market, the Nigerian market, which I always tell people that there is money in the market. Looking at toll gate alone, they make more than 20 million naira every day. So are these people understand this market? Do you think we need more of this? Do you think investors need to drop more than money? And do you think people like Ashley, they need to come and do more than money in this market?
I was thinking about something similar to what you're saying around the problem of not enough capital. So there isn't enough capital, but when you raise capital, when a startup raises capital, it raises it to do something.
Okay.
And there are some people, some companies, that's something that the startup wants to do. Some companies can easily, at no cost, do it for them or help them. I'm looking at my brother, Emeka, who runs like college portals for a lot of the schools in the East, right? If somebody was trying to sell something to students in the East, person was trying to raise $500,000 and cost per acquisition, whatever, they will spend $250,000 of the money to acquire customers. If Emeka gives the person $50,000, he can give the person or support the person to also get the customers that they need at no additional cost. We really need to look at more of that. Like, startups need to look at who has what they need and go and meet the person and sell to the person. Even if the person is not an investor, doesn't see themselves or doesn't think of themselves as an investor, sell them on how, it's actually how I started out in business in MTech. We say, okay, we're going to MTN. MTN has all the subscribers that we want. Let us partner with you and let's share revenue. And we didn't spend any more money and we got, millions of customers. So startups need to look at that more and try and substitute capital for those partnerships, whether it comes with additional investment or not, right? So far as you really feel that this is what I think we need to sort of decouple Sorry, I'm taking too long.
It's fine.
But the Silicon Valley, sort of the whole seed, Series A, Series B, this IPO thing, we don't really have that, right? The Series A guys are not there. There's 2 or 3. If they don't like you, that 3 is, that's 1 in 3. That's a very bad ratio, right, or odds. Series B, with, so we don't have that. So I think we sort of need to start thinking like that way. We can use it where it's there. If it's there, fine. But we also need to think a bit more, just sort of like how people have been making money in Nigeria since, like, Igbo traders, rich people, a lot of people are making money without raising capital. And it's through partnerships, through relations, and so on. So I think we have to sort of think about getting investment in more than just capital. All right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I touch on?
Do you want to add? Yeah. I think we can contribute to this.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one.
I would love to speak a little bit more about this addition to capital, if that's okay. So from our portfolio, we're investing $500,000 at the seed stage in companies. And I actually look at that as probably the least amount of value that we're providing when we look at our suite of services. So in addition to the investment piece, we have an entire team dedicated to portfolio engagement, which essentially post-investment, first 100 days, what are the critical things that we need to help this company get through? What are the major barriers that the company is actually saying they're facing? And that we've seen to be extremely critical. In a traditional fund model, that's really hard to finance because it's a lot of people and it's a lot of support, literally flying around the world to work face-to-face with our organizations. But what we've found is that model is hypercritical to the success of our businesses. So our businesses have gone on to raise an additional $140 million in equity and about $400 million in debt to support their growth. And so we're seeing that these companies are unlocking more capital for their future raises, but they're also addressing critical issues, especially related to governance. So a lot of early stage startups have never really engaged with the board properly. They don't necessarily understand what it means to move from a seed stage investor or even an angel investor to like a Series B investor and what that engagement and expectation looks like. So having your first institutional investor on board really helps you to structure that, and it creates a level of professionalism and engagement with investors that move the company forward. And then just quickly, last thing, kind of going even before even looking at investment, we set up here in Nigeria this year a company builder program. And so it's actually going on right now where people who have not yet started a business that have an interest in entrepreneurship can work alongside Accion to launch fintech businesses focused on inclusion. And so that's us investing in the talent pipeline for individuals to either go on and start their own business or move into another startup after their experience, but it's moving through ideation to piloting, getting capital to take that idea to market. And so we see that as another critical component to the investment kind of pipeline.
Okay, thank you. So, do you want to add very quickly? Please, let's make it brief. Yeah, please.
Very quickly. I mean, I agree with my colleagues that in this market, the best investor needs to do much more than just invest capital. One of the things that we've done, that we did recently, is just reviewed sort of the work that we've done in the past few months to say, look, where can we make the most significant impact for the companies we work with? We've now focused on three key things that we would like to support companies with. And one is growth around business development partnerships and just, good hacking skills to help move the lever forward. And so the second is hiring and building teams. We find that this is a big problem for lots of the companies we work with. And the third is governance. How do you get a company to understand the importance of things like reporting, a board, and having even if you don't having an advisory board at the minimum. And so these three things are the key values that we look to provide. And if there's a way to quantify the impact of these things, it turns out to be a lot more than whatever early stage check you end up writing for the companies you invest in.
Okay, thank you. I have a point. I'm still coming on that. So I'm coming over to you. Martins, you work with startups from Nigeria, from Nairobi and from other parts of the world. And your Innovation Grand Challenge, Nigeria won it twice. Am I right? So what's different about these Nigerian startups?
Actually, I wanted to demystify the thought that it's very hard to raise funding. It's hard. There's no money in in this space. About basis Disruptive Africa report, basis about 32% of the money that came to the tech scene in Africa last year came to Nigeria. That's we're talking about $60-something million. I think the question is not availability of these funds. The question is, what are we doing as the ecosystem players to help startups become investor ready? Because investors are not just in the business of throwing money to anyone who comes to talk to them. They want a bit more structure, a bit more strategy, a bit more thought put into the process of you taking your product to the market. I think we need to put in a lot of effort in helping startups be able to articulate value to the investors so that they can attract the funding. To answer your question on what we find in Nigeria, apart from the population is very high, you'd expect in every one application you get from any other part of Africa, you'll probably get 2, 3, 4, 5 from Nigeria. So there's a lot of activity going on in the tech ecosystem here in Nigeria. So many players, tech hubs setting up right, left, and center, and the fact that in Nigeria, due to the population, if you're able to come up with a product or a service that can be able to address at least a minimum of 10% of the population, you're scaling your innovation, you're scaling your product because of the numbers. I think the exposure that Nigeria and probably Kenya, because in Africa it happens that most of this investment goes to top 3 countries, Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. I think there's a lot of desire or need for new products to address different solutions. The other thing is, and this goes across Africa, we have a very big youth population. A good portion of it is very well educated, but there are no jobs. So there is a lot of drive for someone to come up with something that can sustain them, their livelihoods, and address a certain need and make money out of it. So the ones we invested in Prep Class, and I can see Olumide here from Prep Class, I think what we looked at was the social, unfortunately or fortunately, we look at the social economic impact. So it's not just, we're very skeptical when it comes to a service that does not have a social impact to it. Education is a very key resource or a key activity in any economy. And part of the social sustainable development goals, UN SDGs, is education and trying to ensure that the levels of education are improved. That's what Prep Class does. And over and above that, due to the quality of the education system in most of Africa, you find that teachers, as qualified as they are, they don't have facilities or capacity to be able to carry out their duties comfortably, including how much they earn. So apart from just addressing the need, that is the education gap that is there, they are also giving teachers an opportunity to earn extra income. Extra income means that you can easily change your standards of living. Apart from what you're earning from your core job, if you're earning something else extra, and also looking at the opportunities that they're creating of job employment based on the number of people who come from training institutions who are trained to be teachers, but they can't get jobs in the government schools. How do they sustain, how can they be able to sustain themselves? Yes, there's an opportunity where they can leverage such platforms. So I think Africa, and we'll continue seeing this a lot, the youthful population, poverty levels, and the need to address some of the society needs will propel a lot of innovation. Now, what we need to do, and I always advise startups, don't wait for money for you to get started. Don't wait for money for you to get started. Most people don't invest in ideas, they don't invest in a dream. They want to see what's your skin in the game? Have you put in some money? If you put in some money, then probably it's easier for me to come in and invest.
Okay, so thank you. Simeon, my question for you now is, a lot of startups, I've seen a lot of startups, the only thing they're looking for is investment. The moment they raise one, they're preparing another dog to raise the other one. And when you tell them, oh, what of your consumer, what of the people? And they read a lot of foreign Silicon Valley, they were so motivated with what Elon Musk or someone in the US is doing and how they're easily raising $30 million or this thing. So what is our problem? What is our challenge? What are we not getting right? Because I know that this market, there are some companies that make millions of dollars every month. I know a telco that just from a short code, according to what I heard, they made more than $300 million every month. That's a market that there is money in. But what are we doing wrong? All these technology startups.
So the issues are simple. I mean, I've been in this game since 2012. So I've been in this game. So I've been in this game since 2012, and I have learned a lot. A lot of people are coming to the space because there's a perception, not a reality, that once you're in the startup world, once you raise money, you're a big boy, you live in Lekki, you do this, you do that. So because of that perception, instead of looking for a job, you see a regular job seeker trying to do a startup, which doesn't make sense. But even those that have raised, have they done it the right way? Have they utilized the funds the right way? Have they done the right things? Have we, I'm part of them, have we done it the right way? Have we made sense of what we have raised by giving people the understanding of what value and service is? There are a lot of companies that are making money today. I mean, I started a startup about 2-3 months ago by pivoting an earlier startup I had. And I realized that the mistake I've always made was believing that the internet is the next thing. So we hear mobile first. But what changed my mind was the day someone drove by me on Zenith Bank Road. What's it called again? VI Road, Zenith Bank Road. I just said, somebody drove by me, a very well-grown man with 2 big iPhones in his hands, and steps out of a very beautiful car and asks me, please, I'm looking for number 17, Ajose Adogun, while on Ajose Adogun, while with Google in his hands. And I realized that that's where the problem is. We think by perception, Elon Musk in America doing whatever he's doing is the same thing locally here. I beg to differ. We need to actually tell ourselves the truth. The market is within your locality. Have we even given a solution to that local environment we belong to? The guy next door doesn't use your service, but you think that the guy in Zamfara, the guy in Akwa Ibom will use your service. I don't know why you think so, but it's not true. We have startups that have started. Onyeka is my friend, Farm Crowd. What does he do? Physically, you can see farmlands. You can see what he's doing. He's not looking to go to the internet to start creating farmlands on the internet. But that is what we think it should be. We should create the farmland on the internet, and 180 million Nigerians will go and start farming, and they will farm on the mobile phone, and I will make $1 billion. Guys, we are thinking wrongly. Conquer your local market first. I started a startup, and just like you said, I have raised some funds in the past few weeks. But I needed just small money to raise to a point where I needed to show. But I had to invest my own personal money. I had to sell stuff to just show that this service works. And partnerships, we are not leveraging partnerships. Everybody seems to want to raise money without giving value to the next big company to help you push your service. I approached Adewale, and I'm going to say thank you to Adewale. They're doing a wonderful job. And I told him something. I said, you have a large audience. You have people coming for programs. Can we do a membership package for these programs? Can we do something together while we give our own service? So I run a company called Star. Thank you. And what we do is simple. It's a straightforward thing. We give you cash back every time you shop. We don't own the stores, but you go into any of those stores, they will give you between 2% and 50% cash back on whatever you buy.
But we realized that we couldn't go to the mobile and tell you download app and do this and do that. We know nobody does that. So we created a physical card and we put it at these locations. You can pick up a thank you card at any of these locations. We still realized that wasn't enough. So we started seeking for partnerships. Today we have what we call the Techpoint Thank You Card. Now that card allows you to access all Techpoint events, allows you to access all Techpoint businesses and whatever they are doing, but also gives you cash back if you use the Techpoint Thank You Card to shop at locations. For me, I have not spent $1 billion. I don't want to look for 100 million, but I have done a partnership that makes sense. Are you looking for partnership with the guy that is doing an event place? You are selling chin-chin. Go and partner with this guy and sell at the location. Don't go to the internet and say, my chin-chin is the best. It's going to go to 180 million Nigerians. We're looking at the wrong market. Get your local market first. Win the local market. Then we can start growing. It might not take 1 year. It might not take 2 years. It might not take 5 years. But we will start growing steadily. I always say this. Facebook started from one campus. When he started, nobody was putting pressure on him to conquer India. Today, he is able to conquer India. So why not start the same way they've started? Why not leverage the same thing? Conquer your street, your locality, your local government. Then you can now start taking it out there. And I think that will help us win. That will prepare us for actual investment. Because when they come, they see that you have conquered your street, you've conquered your environment. Then they can help you. Money should be for scaling, not for starting something.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I have a last question. And this question is for everyone, but it's a straightforward question. Because for now, we still have the Silicon Valley mindset. I have my answers, but I won't tell you guys. So I just wanted to say yes or no and put okay in some years. So are we going to see a unicorn startup from Nigeria?
No.
Okay. No, yeah.
A lot more. Yes.
Okay. When you put time, once you put yes, how many years?
Okay.
In how many years?
Give or take 5 years.
5 years.
I can change my answer.
Okay.
So I can change my answer. I didn't know I was giving. So today we can't. But in 10 years, we will get a unicorn.
Okay. 10 years, 5 years?
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
A big yes.
Okay.
I think in less than 5 years.
Less than 5 years.
I say absolutely, and at least in 10 years, and this is coming from somebody that's from Silicon Valley.
So with that, we come to the end of this panel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this time. You guys are just amazing.